You ever had that one neighbor who just decides they're the boss of everyone? The kind who treats the neighborhood like their own little kingdom? Yeah, mine was named Pamela Crane. She was the president of our HOA in a place called Willow Creek Estates, and for a while, I thought she was just overly enthusiastic about keeping lawns trimmed and mailboxes polished. Turns out, she was running her own private regime, and I didn't figure that out until the morning I found her inside my house. It was a Saturday, coffee brewing, sunlight hitting the blinds just right. I heard a voice behind me, calm and casual, saying, "Good morning, Ethan. Just doing my quarterly inspection." And there she was, standing in my living room, clipboard in hand, heels on my hardwood floor, like she owned the place. Now, I'm a physical therapist. I spend my days reminding people that you don't touch someone's body without permission. Consent is sacred. So watching her walk through my home like it was common space, that hit me on a level I didn't even expect. "Pamela," I said, steady as I could, "do you have authorization to be here?" She blinked at me, like I just asked if water was wet. "I'm the HOA president, Ethan. The bylaws grant me access to ensure compliance." I laughed. Not a happy laugh, just the kind that bubbles up when someone says something insane. "They allow exterior inspections," I told her. "Not breaking and entering." Her smile flickered for half a second. Then it snapped back on, like she'd practiced it in a mirror. "Well, when we get reports of violations, we have to be proactive." Reports? Sure. I'd painted my living room soft gray 2 weeks earlier. Nothing anyone could see from outside. Nothing illegal. Nothing in the HOA handbook. But she was acting like I'd hidden a meth lab behind the sofa. When she finally left, she said, "In the future, I hope you'll be more cooperative. We're all protecting property values here." The door closed with that fake politeness people use when they want you to know they're still in control. I stood there, pulse still hammering, then turned to my gym bag. The little camera I kept clipped to it had caught everything. See, months before, a patient at the clinic accused a co-worker of misconduct. The footage saved that therapist's career. After that, I started carrying my own camera. Habit, not paranoia. But that morning, it became my shield. 3 days later, a letter showed up. Official HOA letterhead. Notice of violation. Apparently, I owed $500 for painting my interior walls without board approval. I read it twice, waiting for the joke. It never came. That was the moment the game changed. I spent that evening reading every line of the HOA covenants, marking every clause, every loophole. There was nothing, no rule giving them power over what I did inside my house. And that's when I realized Pamela wasn't enforcing rules. She was making them up. When I called her, she was syrupy sweet at first. "Oh, Ethan. Yes, that's standard. You made unapproved modifications." "Inside my house," I said. "The door was unlocked," she stammered. "I assumed you left it open." That's when I knew she was lying. Because I always lock my door. Always. I let her dig herself deeper. "So you entered my home because you assumed I left it open?" Her tone sharpened. "If you have issues, bring them to the next board meeting." Then she hung up. Thing is, I had the entire call recorded. This state only needs one-party consent. When the next HOA meeting rolled around, I showed up early, sat in the back, phone recording in my lap. Pamela ran the room like a CEO. Smooth voice, polished posture. Until she got to the compliance and enforcement section. "We have a homeowner," she said, "who's refused to cooperate with HOA procedures." She never said my name, but everyone knew who she meant. That's when I raised my hand. "Can you clarify which covenant section authorizes you to inspect interiors?" Her face tightened. "Section 7.2. I smiled. "That's exterior structures only." A few people shifted in their seats. You could feel the mood shifting. "And just for the record," I added, "how exactly did you get into my home?" Silence. Then the tremor in her voice. "The door was accessible." "So unlocked?" I asked. "Or did you use the key?" Her jaw locked. She moved on to the next topic. But by then, everyone in that room was looking at her differently. Later that night, I checked my security footage. And there it was, Pamela, in her cream blazer, unlocking my front door with a key. Not once, not twice, but 5 times over the last 2 months. Each time, she'd wander through my living room, flipping through my mail, taking photos on her phone. That night, I didn't sleep. I compiled everything, videos, timestamps, her letter, the phone call, screenshots of HOA policies showing that only the management company had emergency keys. Pamela had stolen one. When I sent the evidence to the board, they replied with a lawyer, some guy named Victor Langley, who told me to cease defamatory communications. Classic intimidation tactic. So I did what I do best, documented everything, wrote a formal complaint, and copied the entire board. You have 7 business days to respond, I wrote, or I'll take it to the police. They didn't respond. So I did. The police called it exactly what it was, burglary. Not trespassing. Burglary. And when the investigation opened, more people came forward. My neighbor Rosa told me Pamela threatened her with fines over a fence that was perfectly legal. Malcolm, 2 houses down, had to repaint his shutters because she said the color was too urban. A pattern. Every single person she'd gone after was either a person of color, an immigrant, or just different. When I realized that, the anger turned to something colder. This wasn't just about me. It was about power. About control. A week later, the board called an emergency meeting. The room was packed. Pamela wasn't running this one. 2 board members were up front, pale and nervous. They said the police were investigating unauthorized access to resident properties. Then, right in the middle of their announcement, the back door opened, and in walked Pamela, flanked by her lawyer. She took the microphone, head high, voice trembling just enough to sound fragile. I have served this community for 8 years, she said. These accusations are baseless. One homeowner has decided to destroy my reputation. I didn't move. Didn't need to. Because that's when 2 officers entered from the same door she'd walked through. Pamela Crane. One of them said, calm but firm, "You're under arrest for criminal trespass and burglary." Her clipboard hit the floor. She looked at me, eyes wide, voice breaking. "Ethan, tell them. This is a misunderstanding." I just said, "You broke into my house 5 times, Pamela. I think we're past misunderstandings." The room was dead quiet except for the click of handcuffs. And when the officers let her out, someone started clapping. Then another. Then half the room. She didn't come back. Months later, I heard she'd taken a plea deal, probation, community service, permanent ban from any HOA role. She'd spend 200 hours at a legal aid clinic helping tenants fight wrongful evictions. I asked if I could visit once. They let me. She was filing paperwork in silence, head down. When she looked up, our eyes met for half a second. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Afterward, the neighborhood changed. Rosa became HOA president. Malcolm joined the board. They rewrote the bylaws. No unannounced inspections. All fines documented. Every complaint voted on publicly. And at the first meeting under their leadership, Rosa held up a small box. Inside were 3 master keys. "We're destroying these," she said. "No one should ever have the power to enter your home without consent." Everyone stood. Someone started recording. It was quiet except for the snap of metal hitting the grinder. And in that moment, watching those keys get destroyed, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not victory. Just peace. You know, people think stories like this are about punishment, but they're really about boundaries, about reminding each other where the line is and what happens when someone crosses it. So let me ask you this. What would you have done if you found your HOA president standing in your living room with a clipboard? Would you have fought back, or just let it go to keep the peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think, because maybe, just maybe, the real question isn't whether Pamela was wrong. It's how many people like her still think they're right.